Welcome everybody to the Can Mayonnaise Kill a Jedi podcast. I am your host, the Artificial Dragon.
I have an idea. We should switch it up for every time we do an episode.
Alright. By all means, Anna.
Are you doing it or am I doing it?
No, I was just bringing it up as an idea.
Welcome to Can Mayonnaise Kill a Jedi fucking podcast.
And I am your host, the Artificial Dragon.
I'm Hannah.
Alright.
Yeah.
And let's see. Today is our 13th episode. I kind of lost track, honestly. Thank you. But yeah, it's been a couple of weeks since then. I do apologize for the gigantic gap between episodes. It's not our fault, I promise. Just scheduling here and there. But yeah, a new month has rolled around, and for all of you lovely people that want to support the Patreon, there is a new art piece in the works. And this month we have Grand Admiral Thrawn himself showing off his biceps.
So hot!
Yeah, any of you simps that really love to jump on the bones of a Grand Admiral, you could go ahead and support our Patreon.
Do it!
Just, do it. Just do it.
I have no fucking idea who this guy is.
Well, we'll get to that in a little bit. But anyway, if you want to get monthly art pieces of, fan service versions of your favorite characters or just anything in Star Wars in general, all you have to do is pay $10 a month. It's really affordable. Well, okay, I say that, but it's fairly affordable. So if you want to see any of that, go ahead and go to the Patreon and you support the channel and the podcast as well.
We'd appreciate the support.
Yeah. But yeah, I know there's a lot of people out there that are listening to the podcast format of this. I have a YouTube channel if you want to go take a look at that. Just saying. Anyway, as you guys can tell from my introduction of a Patreon art piece, we all know what today's topic is about.
The handsome blue boy!
You just said.
And smart.
It was Thrawn, who rhymes with Tron.
So yeah, today's topic will be about Grand Admiral Thrawn himself. He is basically the epitome of the blue skin trope that we like to joke about in our previous episodes.
Doesn't mean he's still not attractive.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, just to give you, just kind of to fill you in, kid, you are fairly familiar with the Chiss race, right?
Fuck no.
The blue people with the red eyes?
All I know about the Chiss is that they're blue.
They're blue and they have red eyes.
Well, I mean, so are the Pantorans.
Yeah. Well, the Pantorans don't have red eyes. A lot of people in the Star Wars fan community jokingly call them as wannabe Chiss.
I've heard that before.
Well, anyway, so Grand Admiral Thrawn is one of the first villains introduced in the expanded universe post Return of the Jedi Star Wars. And he was invented by longtime sci-fi author, I'm sorry if I mispronounce his last name, Timothy Zahn. If you guys don't know who Timothy Zahn is, he has wrote a lot of sci-fi books, a lot of Star Wars ones, but mostly ones that involve Thrawn, like the first three Thrawn trilogy books, the new one as well.
I bow down to this man for creating such an awesome character!
And as you can tell, we have a diehard fan of the character in the room right now.
Yeah.
I kind of regret / don't regret it, but anyway.
Yeah, the fan being me.
But
Says the one who wants a Chagruda Dami Mommy.
that is also
That's
very...
not a bad thing.
No, that's not a bad thing.
You say that like that's a bad thing. That's not a bad thing.
I mean,
That's like saying that fucking... That's like saying wine to sleep is bad. No, it isn't.
But yeah, for you guys in the chat, I'll send you guys a picture of the man in our Discord chat.
I know what he looks like, I just don't know.
Okay. But anyway, before I get too sidetracked, so Thrawn is basically the character that is the introduction to the Chiss race, like in the same way that Chewbacca is an introduction to the Wookiees, or what's another good example? I guess kind of Ahsoka Tano with the Togruta, but Shakti already existed beforehand.
and I would also think maybe Yoda.
Yoda, but Yoda's raised. We don't go into that.
We don't know shit about it.
And of course, Jabba.
Tell us your secrets, Lucas.
And of course, Jabba the Hutt with, the Hutts. Grand Admiral Thrawn was kind of broke new ground for archetypes of Star Wars characters. Like, beforehand, we have characters like Darth Vader, Darth Sidious, Jabba the Hutt. They're clearly the bad guys.
The good guys and the bad guys.
Yeah.
Clear
But,
as day.
yeah. But Thrawn kind of brings that nice little archetype of all-powerful, all-knowing, sociopathic villain. He is incredibly intelligent, and he's threatening because he's just so goddamn smart. He's kind of like Bane.
So he's Patrick Bateman from Psycho.
Kind of, yeah.
American Psycho.
Yeah.
So he has a business card that's the color bone.
Yeah.
But that is one part that makes him attractive, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The dude is so fucking smart.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't? What person would not be attracted to that? Gay, lesbian, whatever.
Psychopath?
Not psychopath,
She's
but
talking about the smart villains.
Yeah, blue Patrick Bateman. Literally blue Patrick Bateman.
I'd let him hit it.
Yeah. But yeah, obviously Thrawn takes a lot of inspiration from real-life characters like Erwin Rommel, who led the tank company during World War II for the Nazis in Africa, Robert E. Lee, Hannibal Barca, Alexander the Great, and Sherlock Holmes. A lot of people say he's the, Thrawn anyway, is the Sung Shun of Star Wars, but a lot of people say he's more accurately the Sherlock Holmes, an evil villainous Sherlock Holmes.
Yes.
Yeah. But he's
so fucking smart.
Yeah. But yeah, Thrawn isn't one of my personal favorite villains, but after doing a lot of his research, I have a lot more appreciation for him now than I did back in the day. If there's one bad thing I could say about Thrawn is that he's too overrated, if that makes any sense. In the same way Maul or Darth Sidious are overrated.
Hey man, blue Patrick Bateman, I'm all ears.
Yeah. But I think he's a pretty cool villain. He's not as flashy as characters like, say, Cad Bane or Darth Sidious.
Cad Bane ain't flashy.
Well, he's got a cowboy get-up. Come on, man.
He's a fucking boomer.
Well, technically, so is Thrawn.
Yes, but Thrawn looks less boomer. Therefore, he's more sexy. Therefore, I like him more. Automatically, even though I don't know him.
So you agree with me? He's sexy.
He's sexy, but he's evil.
Poor
But
Cad
that's so
Bane.
sexy.
I have a type.
Alright, well, before I gush on more
You a
about...
psychopath?
Maybe.
Okay.
Well, before I gush on more about Thrawn and his out-of-lore history, actually, before I get into him, I'm going to say a quote from the good old man, because Thrawn quotes are the absolute best.
He makes such good monologues out of his fucking stuff.
Yeah.
That's what makes a good villain.
Yeah. This is one of the newer Thrawn books, by the way. One whose path has taken a new turn is often initially disoriented, but as time passes and the path continues steadily in its new direction, there is a tendency to believe that it will remain so forever. With no further turns, nothing is further from the truth. A path once bent is always susceptible to new changes, particularly when the original change came from manipulation by an outside force. But yeah, he's got so many great quotes. I could read Thrawn quotes for days, but just to lay a couple of ground rules, I will be specifically talking about the Legends version of Thrawn, because he's now in canon as well. He's so popular that he got reintroduced into canon via the Rebels TV show. They aren't different per se, it's just that their stories are different. Like, we don't know what's up with Thrawn right now. Apparently he's going to be the main antagonist of the Ahsoka TV show because she's specifically looking for Thrawn and all that.
We shall see.
Yeah.
It makes me excited to watch it.
Yeah. But yeah, I will be talking about the Legends version of Thrawn because that's the one that we're all familiar with as the new canon. Still being made.
Either way, they keep him the same, and that's the best part about it.
Yeah.
So looking up some more images. So they want either people say either Benedict Cumberbatch should be.
Yeah.
He would be a perfect fit.
Some people say Robert Downey Jr. for some reason. I don't think
so.
Yeah.
Benedict Cumberbatch, because he has played Sherlock Holmes, would be perfect.
Yeah. I could see that, yeah.
And he has that I don't.
Yeah, he has the face for it. He just kind of has the look.
Yeah, but he also has that deep, buttery voice.
Yeah.
That Thrawn has.
He's got that Dracula sort of voice of a new canon.
But not as scratchy.
I know. Also, his theme song, it has an opera in it.
Of course it
fucking
does.
badass.
He's such an artsy motherfucker.
Yeah.
The dude worships art.
But anyway, let me get back to the main meat of this episode.
Usually I'm simping. Today is Hannah's simp episode. So
hey, it evens things out, kid.
Yes, it does.
I'm the resident
to
simp.
prove Hannah is a racist once again. she is into a space Nazi.
Would that even count as racism, though?
Dating a space Nazi? Yes!
Simpin'.
Well, he's not that much of a Nazi, but I'll just get into his story.
I am into evil MILFs, therefore I am evil. So.
Yes, you were into...
Thrawn bureaucrat.
Yes. Anyway, before we get sidetracked anymore. So, Grand Admiral Thrawn was a Chiss that was born on his home world of Sheila, which is basically a planet in the middle of the unknown regions, out in the middle of buttfuck nowhere. And it's
the Munz Park of space.
Wow. Okay. Just roasting yourself there, Hannah. Okay.
Yep.
The Munz Park of space.
Yep.
Anyways, so it isn't exactly known when he was born, but it's assumingly in the final decade of the Old Republic, which is in the prequel era and all that. Interestingly enough, in canon, he was born at around 59 years before the Battle of Yavin, so this was 20 years before the invasion of Naboo. Same as Cad Bane. But yeah, this is going to be a little bit silly. He was given the birth name of Milfro Rondo. I'll show you guys in the chat. Because it's... Let's just say their naming...
Just names are weird to say.
Yeah, they're very weird to say. Let me just... there we go.
I thought it an L. I thought this was MILF. Damn.
I'll try and say it.
Yeah.
Mithronurudo.
Yeah. So basically, the naming conventions of the Chiss is that the first part of their name is, I believe, their clan name. Their middle one, which is separated with the apostrophe, is their public name. And then the last is their occupation or title or something like that.
Interesting.
So, if you want to go with Chiss standards, his actual name is Raw. Hey, Raw, what's up?
He punched you in the face.
He would insert it raw.
Knew that was coming.
Yes.
Little Raw was initially born as a simple commoner because, kind of to give you a little background on Chiss society.
Chiss society's weird.
It's basically a oligarchy, which means they're ruled by families. At this point in time, they're ruled by 5 families. I think in Chiss history, the power and numbers of family can vary drastically. I think the highest is 10, while the lowest is 3 families.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
It's still weird.
It's an oligarchy, so
It sounds
obviously...
like Hunger Games in an almost...
Kind of.
Like the way Snow ruled the Hunger Games.
Yeah. But yeah, basically Thrawn, he was never born into the 5 ruling families, so he was basically a commoner the moment he was born.
Oh, sad upbringing.
Yeah, and as he grew up, he joined the Chiss Expansionary Defense Force, which is basically the Chiss military. And he became, by becoming a soldier in the military, he basically became a noble because, hey, I have a position of power now. And within a couple of years, he reached the rank of commander, and he was known as the youngest Chiss to attain the rank within the military.
So he's pretty good with military stuff.
Yes, he is.
Like, just
pretty
from
good.
a young age.
Yeah. I would assume he was in his 20s by the time he reached that rank right now. Yeah, look at us. We're in the middle of an apartment doing nothing but talking about fictional characters.
Way to make me feel bad about myself.
Dude, this is a fictional character. No fictional character could... No real life person could ever do this unless they were super rich.
I mean, unless you're Napoleon Bonaparte.
Privilege.
He was from a noble family. Like,
I know. But anyway,
Back to fiction.
So his first ever interactions with the wider galaxy occurred relatively 29 years before the Battle of Yavin. So this is like 2 years after the invasion of Naboo, by the way.
Okay.
And
so when Anakin becomes a Padawan.
Yeah. So he was commanding his ship one day called the Springhawk. He was just just patrolling the outskirts of Chiss space and all that. And he came across a interesting vessel that was being chased by, I think, Hutts or something. And he was all like, "Oh, those people are in danger. I better go help them out." So he ordered his ship to chase off the Hutts or whatever. And then he boarded the ship, and he comes across several of the occupants. And basically, he doesn't understand basic at all. So he has these humanoid that aren't blue, and they're trying to speak to him, and he's like, I can't understand you, what the fuck? And to kind of get by this issue, he decided to try another language that they might be fluent in. And he reached to the trade... I forget the name of the language, but it's basically a trade language that people of the unknown regions use between those that are in the main galaxy and the unknown regions, for trading stuff. So he decided to use that language, and as luck would have it, they do speak the same language. So they're like, okay, what's going on? What are you guys doing? And he was kind of like interrogating these people, and he found out later down the line that they're actually a bunch of smugglers, which is why the Hutts were chasing after them, because they probably stole a couple of things. And Thrawn was like, okay, you're technically wandering into Chiss space, which is not allowed, so I'm going to take you in as my prisoners for the time being. And he decided to take them back to Sheila for processing and all that. And this was like, I think a couple weeks journey, something like that. And he decided, I'm going to learn more about these new travelers. And for the past couple weeks, the smuggler basically teach them the ways of basic, and he became very fluent in basic. And along the lines, the smugglers were having a really hard time pronouncing his name. And he decided to shorten it to Thrawn, which is his core name.
Oh, that's cool. So
Yeah.
that's how he got his name.
Yeah, because obviously Raw doesn't sound cool at all.
It's fucking raw!
You have to put a Gordon Ramsay
Yeah,
thing in
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Oh my god.
Gordon Ramsay. It's like, raw! It's like, I know it's raw chef. No, raw! I meant raw the chef!
Poor Raw.
Fuck, he probably knows a lot about cooking anyway.
Maybe. We'll see. So as he took his human guess, along the lines, he encountered a bunch of raiders that were just chilling out at the edge of Chiss space. Now, to give you a perspective on the Chiss government again, the Chiss, they're not a really expansionist or anything like that. They kind of keep to themselves. They're isolationists.
That's fair.
So they don't really go out and meddle in other societies or anything like that because, they want to keep to themselves. And this kind of leaves them vulnerable because there are people just chilling out on their doorstep, and unless they attack them first, they really can't do anything. And that's something that Thrawn was not all about, because he's all about action. He wants to go out and make a difference, while the government's like, no, you can't do that. We gotta wait until they do something to us first, then we could attack them. And that's just something Thrawn is annoyed with.
Yeah, I can see why.
Yeah. So anyway, so he comes across these raiders. And they're a part of this other race that lives in the unknown regions, and they're called the Vigari. I'll actually send you guys a picture of what they look like. They're kind of ugly-looking fuckers. Just give it a second. Also, Wi-Fi is really fucky, so,
I see that.
You can use your data.
Yeah, I'm switching over to my data, don't worry.
Same, but mine's only at 2 bars.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, the Vigari are ugly-looking fuckers.
Ew.
Nothing's come up for me yet.
But anyway, so point is, he saw...
They got big-ass middle fingers.
Yeah, they do. So the Vigari are basically a bunch of slavers and pirates. They are...
Nice drip. They have fucking nice-ass drip.
Well, yeah, they do, but they look really... they look really ugly. But yeah, the Vigari are basically a race of pirates that are known to go around and pillage planets, taking slaves for themselves and all that fun stuff. And Thrawn is all like, ooh, this makes me so mad! And against Chiss tradition or protocol, he decided to investigate these raiders. And, you'll probably see the Vigari as, really evil sons of bitches. So he goes up to the raiders and he investigates the exterior of their ship. Yeah, exterior. And he sees all of these bubble-looking structures all over the ships. And he starts to realize that they have living shields. Basically, it's layman's terms for, imagine like a transparent steel tube. It kind of looks like a glass cylinder, and inside is a person. They have living shields over a ship of slaves or prisoners that they capture along the way, and it's basically the Vigari saying, fuck you, if you fire on us, you'll be killing innocent people in the process.
Damn.
And Thrawn, at this point in his life, Thrawn isn't quote-unquote evil. He still believes in protecting the innocent and all that, but even he is kind of ruthless, and he decided to open fire on that ship anyway. Because in his idea is, if I allow these raiders to escape, sure, I'll be killing innocent people in the process, but if I kill this vessel right here, right now, that means...
thousands of people are saved.
Yeah, thousands of people are saved from whatever torture the Vigari will do down the line.
Based?
Yeah, he's pretty based. And after that, his superiors basically were like, what the fuck, Thrawn, stop doing this shit. You're such a goddamn maverick. And Thrawn is like, fuck you. We need to be much more proactive. We need to go out there and secure our territories and stop people from causing so much death and suffering in our corner of the galaxy and all that.
Based?
And the Chiss, as I mentioned, are isolationists. And
okay, that's not based.
Yeah. Anyway, so the Chiss, when Thrawn brought back the prisoners, the smuggler prisoners, by the way, they were kind of wary of them. And they're like, where the fuck do you come from? To stay away from our planet and all that. Being very xenophobe and all that.
Oh, they're xenophobic too.
That's not based either.
No. But Thrawn, on the other hand, he was a very open-minded individual, and he wants to know... and he wanted to know more of the galaxy. Like, during his time, this is all in an entire novel, which I don't have the time to go into detail in one episode, so I'm just doing it for simplistic... Cliff Notes version. He decided to, aside from learning Galactic Basic and all that, he decided, hey, could you tell me more about the galaxy that you come from? And the smuggler basically told him of such things that are unknown to the Chiss. He told him about the Republic. He told him about droids, which, by the way, is a very foreign concept to the Chiss.
Oh.
Yep. They have
They don't know about the Jedi?
They don't know about the Jedi, and they don't know about droids, because droids are a very foreign concept to them. Like,
Oh.
To the Chiss, droids
Yes.
are a foreign concept.
Yeah.
Why?
yeah, it's like artificial intelligence. Why should we trust an AI that doesn't even live or anything like that?
Because it can calculate things much faster than you would at like an attosecond.
So their technology isn't as advanced?
Well, it's not that their technology isn't advanced, but do keep in mind they do live in the unknown region, so their technology goes down a very different path compared to the mainstream galaxy and all that.
Well, I've seen theories that the galaxy, the mainstream galaxy, has like peaks of very high tech stuff and then low peaks.
Yeah.
Because that explained better why everything in the prequels looks so nice, but then everything in the original trilogy looks so shit.
Yeah. I know those theories too, but for the Chiss, I think they go down different guidelines, so to speak. Like, what's a good example I could throw at? Okay. No, I'm not going to attempt that. But anyway, point is, Chiss doesn't know about droids or the Jedi. So anyway, so several days goes by, and word of the scout ships under his command have detected this unknown fleet exiting out of hyperspace right near Chiss space. And Thrawn was all like, that's sus.
That's sus as fuck, bro.
And he decided to go check it out. And he brought one of his smuggler friends with him because they're probably from the main galaxy and he needs an outsider to tell him all of his information. And he was like, hey, buddy, could you tell me what those ships are? And he's like, oh, those are ships of a trade federation.
They're like, oh, fuck.
So yeah, let's see.
That's not good.
So yeah, basically, Thrawn comes across this fleet of 2 Lucrehulks, which are the donut ships, by the way, and several other smaller support craft just chilling out in right dangerously close to Chiss space. And he's all like, what the hell is going on? Are they planning to attack Sheila? Are they here for some other purpose? And no joke, Thrawn decided to hail the fleet's flagship for 10 minutes straight. He's all like, hey.
Like Navi.
Hey. He did this for 10 minutes straight.
Wait,
he's like,
hello?
hey.
Was he actually just like, hey?
No, not literally like that, but he was hailing the ship for 10 minutes straight. Like, hey, pick up, bitch.
I can see him sitting in the command chair just...
And eventually...
Just pick up!
And eventually the commander of his fleet picks up. It's a human by the name of Stratus. He's probably all like, what? What do you want? So he picks up
10
and...
minutes of persistent, hey! Fucking pay attention to me!
And he's all like, what do you want? And, both him and Thrawn have this little chat like, hey, what are you doing out here? Do you not realize this is in the middle of Chiss space? And they're like, oh, no, we're not here for you. I promise we don't mean you harm or anything like that. And Thrawn was all like, okay, can you tell me why you're here? I think it's best that we don't tell you what's going on. And
Just very suspicious.
And as they're talking, both of the Lucrehulks decide to counter Thrawn's meager fleet, and they send off a bunch of vulture droids after him.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And Thrawn was like, shit! And he brought his ships out of range of the vulture droids, because they have a limited range. They can't go off in infinite. And based on his knowledge of droids, Thrawn decided to do an experiment. By the way, Thrawn has only 3 corvettes against like an entire armada of Trade Federation ships.
That's not good.
Yeah. So he commanded
He is very outnumbered.
He is very outnumbered, but you'll be impressed by his tactics later. So basically what he did is he commanded one of his corvettes to kind of go up at the very edge of the operational range of the vulture droids, kind of like prodding it again and again, kind of to see what the vulture droids would do. They the vulture droids would stay idle the moment the corvette goes into their range. They're like,
oh, so just testing the range.
They're just testing the range, but... But yeah, by the way, I gotta give huge preps for Eckhart's letter. If you don't know, he's a very good YouTuber, and he does a lot of visualizations of ship battles and all that. I gotta hand it to him for visualizing for his little standoff, because it really helped me a lot with my research. So let me see.
Of course, Star Wars fans would do that.
So basically, what Thrawn did is he's prodding the zone of the vulture droids and having the same ship retreat over and over again. It wasn't only to see the extent of a limited range of the vulture droids, but as a way to discover and decrypt the signal that the droids are getting from their control ship. Because they're doing the exact same movement over and over again. Like, they are heavily encrypted, but even heavily encrypted signals could be decrypted if you get the signal patterns over and over again. So after he decrypts the signals, he orders his fleet to move closer and within the operational range of the vultures, but the commanders of the control ships were shocked to see that the vulture droids weren't attacking them, and Thrawn basically commanded them to fly in the void of space right past them. So basically he's like, do, and the vulture droids are just flying away.
That's funny.
Let's see. However,
the Federation captain must be like, what the fuck?
Well, this only took out the initial swarm of vulture droids, because they had a backup fleet just in case. So they decided to send off, the Trade Federation guys decided to send off their second wave of vulture droids. And Thrawn also found out that the vulture droids can't tell the difference between a hostile ship and an object, like a missile or something. So he decided, hey, one of my starfighters, fire a missile at them. And it does as he's ordered to, and the vulture droids attack the missile. However, this turned out to be a trap. Basically, the missile had this EMP net. It exploded, and it disabled the rest of the vulture droids.
Get fucked.
Yeah. And the Trade Federation were basically all like, what the fuck? Send everything! Send all the vulture droids after him! And before the vulture droids can leave, his corvettes are close enough to the Lucrehulk control ships to the point where he could interfere with their signals and all that. And he had one of his ships jam the second Lucrehulk vessel. And basically, it didn't seem to do much on the surface, but I also want to point out that the vulture droids have a Wi-Fi connection with control ships. And the moment that they lose that Wi-Fi connection, they basically explode so they don't fall into enemy hands.
What are they using? Suddenly?
So...
Or Verizon?
Yeah.
So, point is, lose their Wi-Fi connection. What do you think is going to happen with all those vulture droids inside of a ship? Yep. They explode and take out that ship from within.
That sucks.
Yeah. And then...
You got outsmarted by a 3-ship fleet.
Yeah. And, long story short, Thrawn basically took out his starfighter squad, took out the remaining support vessels and all that, and the Trade Federation captain was basically ordered to stand down so he doesn't get blown up. Keep in mind, his small fleet of only 3 corvettes, which are like minnows compared to these ships, and he's able to take down several ships with no casualties on his side.
That is fucking awesome.
By the way, this is 20-year-old Thrawn. He's not in his prime yet.
Still!
But anyway,
God damn.
Yeah. And yeah, through this simple move, he had one Lucrehulk vessel, and they basically surrendered because they don't have any more support. And they're like, okay, fine, whatever.
Surrender.
By the way, the control ship's name is the Darkvenge, which I think is pretty cool. And Thrawn decided to board the ship, and he wanted to personally go have a chat with his strategist guy. He was like, you were saying, motherfucker?
Exactly, you were saying bitch?
I wouldn't even just pick up the call. I just keep spamming calls.
And so Strat is, being literally backed into a corner by Thrawn. He basically told him, okay, we're in this section of space because we are trying to stop this exploration vessel called the Outbound Flight, which are carrying a group of Jedi Masters into the unknown regions. And the man claimed, if you allow this force of Jedi to come to Sheila, they will dominate the entire world, they'll rule it with an iron fist, blah, 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 blah. And Thrawn, throughout the entire conversation, is like, because he was informed beforehand what the Jedi actually were. They're not conquerors, they're peacekeepers and all that.
It's funny, it's just he bullshit.
Yeah. And Thrawn was smart enough to realize that Stratus was trying to goad him into destroying the Outbound Flight for him. He kind of thought about, dealing with the Outbound Flight, but he decided, okay, I could do that, but I'm just gonna leave you here and, not leave you here, take you prisoner and take the ship for myself. Now he's got a donut ship at his disposal.
Just like, ooh, new ship.
New ship. But anyway, a couple of days passed, and Thrawn did some other things while, blah, 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 blah. He did some things with the control ship, doing some future plans, and which will become relevant later. A couple of days passed, and Thrawn initially wanted to use the Lucrehulk and its complement of vulture droids to, fuck over the Vagari because they're pieces of shit and all that. And with this ship, they're officially not his ships, so the thing is wide open for abuse and all that. But anyway, he wanted to get this plan in motion and probably find a way why they wanted to stop this Outbound Flight vessel. And he goes up to Stratus again, and he's basically all like, okay, I do have plans in motion to do my own thing, but if you want me to stop the Outbound Flight, you will tell me the fucking truth, or I will have to send you back where you came from. Basically, he's telling him, tell me the fucking truth, or shut up, bitch. And at that point, Stratus decided he had no other option but to reveal everything to Thrawn. Turns out, Stratus was actually named Kinman Durrana, and he is the personal advisor of Palpatine himself.
Oh, fuck.
And he revealed that he knew about a group of entities that lie within the fringes of the unknown regions, which are called the Outbound. Not the Far Outsiders. Basically, there's this huge unknown fleet that is amassing at the edge of the unknown regions, and the reason why he was sent to stop the Outbound Flight was because they were basically making a beeline towards that invasion force. And if the Outbound Flight was, say, captured, that would lead them straight to the Republic.
God damn.
Yeah. And the conman actually got Thrawn into contact with Palpatine himself, so this was their first proper introduction.
Holy shit.
Yeah. It's really, really tense and really cool. And Palpatine's all like, wow.
A battle of wits. Literally, it's a battle of wits.
And Palpatine was all like, wow, Thrawn, my advisor has told me of you single-handedly taking down a larger fleet with a meager 3 corvettes. You must be a really good strategist. And, he's
kissing his ass.
He's kissing his ass and,
Palpatine kissing ass?
Yeah, kissing ass.
The Palpatine Thrawn, ship confirmed.
Oh, God. Yeah. Ew. Who would ship Palpatine with anybody?
Do it. Do it.
And, as Palpatine was telling him the relevant information and all that, Thrawn, even though it doesn't immediately concern him, with the invasion force going directly to the Republic, it also threatened his people because they're the first in line before these invaders go directly to the Republic. So he decided, okay, yeah, I'll go ahead and stop the Outbound Flight because it also threatens my rays as much as it does to your Republic right now. And he basically agreed to work with Thrawn, with Palpatine and his advisor to stop the Outbound Flight. So basically, they just chill out in this section of space for, I say, a couple of days or weeks. Just chilling there, planning and all that. And eventually the Outbound Flight does arrive. By the way, I gotta show you this ship. It is fucking huge. Just to give you an idea, it has like, I think 5, let me count that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ships around it with a little colony ship in the center.
Oh. Cool.
Yeah. By the way, this ship is led by this Jedi Master called, Jera Subalov. I'll send you a picture of him too. He's basically Palpatine if he joined the Jedi Order. You'll see in a little bit.
Huh.
Yeah. He's kind of a decrepit old man.
He looks like God.
Kind of.
Loading.
But anyway,
He looks like Gandalf God.
Gandalf God.
Is he? Jesus?
That's God. Yeah, no, that's no.
Jesus?
That's God. That's literally Jehovah right there.
Take off one eye and he's Odin.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
Now, Thor, have you cleaned your fucking room?
Yeah. Clean your room for.
God?
And, so, the Outbound Flight comes out of hyperspace, and...
Oh my god, Obi-Wan Kenobi's Jesus!
So, the Outbound Flight arrives, and obviously Conman, being the advisor of Palpatine, had every intention to destroy the vessel, and he's like, Thrawn, we need to open fire on that shit now before it does anything else. But Thrawn, he's not a bloodthirsty psychopath like everybody else. He's all like, no, I want to resolve this peacefully. I want to see if...
This is before he was evil.
Yeah. And keep in mind, the Outbound Flight has like somewhere around 50,000 people on it.
Holy fuck.
So yeah, there's a lot at stake here if you just open fire on that ship. So he decided to try and hail the ship once every 5 minutes for half an hour straight.
Just, come on.
Wake up! And eventually the Jera Subalov answered the call, and he's like, What? What do you want? And after their initial conversation, they decided to parlay with each other. So Thrawn goes onto the Outbound Flight, and he personally talks with the Jedi Master, and basically Thrawn tells him everything. He tells him that they're going straight into a shitstorm, that Palpatine is behind everything, that he's working with Palpatine. He does everything he can to try and convince the Jedi Master to turn the fuck back. And how does he respond to this, you may ask?
Fuck off.
He basically said, piss off.
God damn.
And Thrawn was all like, okay. I'll go back to my ship and I'll give you time to reconsider. I'll give you 30 minutes. Then I'll be forced to open fire on you.
Like, okay, you're gonna fuck around and find out.
Yep. And little did Thrawn know, I want you to keep in mind, Jera Subalov is, to put it mildly, a little bit crazy. And
no fucking shit.
He's a little bit crazy. And there were actually a couple of there were actually a couple of crewmates that didn't like the way he was handling things on the Outbound Flight. You know, kind of his little mutiny thing going on. But of course, they can't do anything because he's a god tier Force user. He probably just mind tricks all of them. So Thrawn goes back to his ship and he just chills out for something to happen and all that, just to give him time. And at around this time, something bad happens. A fleet of Vigari ships exit out of hyperspace.
Oh shit.
And they see these two ships, and they see this colony ship, and they're like, ooh, colonists to plunder, yeah! And basically, the Vigari go to intercept the Outbound Flight because, you know, slaves and all that. And the Jedi look at these ships, and they see, like, the living shields that they have on them, and they're like, there's no fucking way we're going to open fire on these things. We'll be killing innocent people in the process. So basically what they did was they reached out through the Force to basically calm all the Vigari, at least for a little bit, so that the Outbound Flight could get closer and board the ships and all that. This was exactly what Thrawn was hoping for, though. And at this moment, while the Outbound Flight of the Vigari were distracted, he activated a signal which spurred a hidden fleet of vulture droids, and they opened fire on the Vigari ship while making sure to not fire on the slave shields and all that.
That's smart.
Yeah. And basically, so in his initial conversation with Palpatine basically gave him a couple of hints of how to deal with Jedi, and one of the hints that he gave was the Jedi use the Force a lot, and a massive amount of death can disorient their senses because, they're witnessing a shitload of death right in front of them. So, armed with that knowledge, Thrawn basically had the vulture droids open fire on the Vigari ships, and with all that death, basically that was enough to distract the Jedi crew, and he decided to open fire on the Outbound Flight, only disabling its turrets and all of that, and its shield generators. Basically, he has disarmed the Outbound Flight, and probably going to annihilate the entire Vigari fleet in the process. And he contacts the Outbound Flight again, and he's like, please, I am begging you.
Them, turn the fuck around.
He's all like, I fucking beg you. I could have killed you anytime I wanted to, but I didn't. Either A, surrender to us, or B, go back to the Republic and never come back. Please.
Damn.
Yeah, Thrawn is doing absolutely everything he can to make sure he doesn't kill any innocent people. Well, he's fucking over the Vigari, but who gives a shit about them?
Yeah.
However, Jarrus, I want you to guess what happens next.
He doesn't listen.
It's off.
So, yeah, Jarrus, as I mentioned before, he's a little bit crazy, and during his entire time, he was falling deeper and deeper to the dark side. And basically what he did, this is through comms, by the way, or holo transmissions and all that. He reaches out through the Force and starts choking Thrawn.
Oh, shit!
And his entire crew are like, holy fuck, our commander is choking to death. We gotta do something, but obviously they can't because it's the Force, not something physical around his neck.
God damn, this fucker.
Yeah. And Kinman, the advisor dude to Palpatine, basically did one thing that he could think of. He switched the signals of the vulture droids that were currently attacking the Vigari ships and had them attack the Outbound Flight itself.
Oh no!
So the vulture droids opened fire on the Outbound Flight, and on top of that, they released radiation bombs to ensure that everybody on the ship fucking died.
Oh shit.
And as obviously Jar Sabalov died in the process, and Thrawn had his neck not being choked. However, in the process, the Outbound Flight was radioactive. Most of its ships have been destroyed to fuck, and almost the entirety of a 50,000 crew was killed. And
let it float off into unknown space. Fuck that.
And Thrawn was not happy. He was not happy. Because he obviously wanted to settle things peacefully. He was quite angry because, and as well as killing that many innocent people, the vulture droids basically are letting the remaining Vigari ships go. Like, most of them have been destroyed and the rest are wounded, but at least they could go back and lick their wounds and raid innocent people another day. So he was quite unhappy about that. He was hoping to kill all of the Vigari in one single blow, but they lived to fight another day. And Thrawn was like, ugh, son of a bitch. Okay. At least we have the innocent slaves that we could rescue from the Vigari ships. So by the way, he personally led the rescue mission to give the remaining slaves and send them back to their homeworlds that they were taken from.
Cool.
So he's a pretty cool guy.
At least now.
Yeah, at least for now. Let's see. So, obviously, the Chiss Ascendancy, this is the name of their government, by the way, kind of got wind of the operation that was going on, and they went there and they found the Outbound Flight, and they're like, we need to take that because there's probably technology that we could use and reverse engineer and all that, blah, blah, blah.
It's irradiated. Go and do it.
They don't give a shit. And Thrawn was basically all like, if I allow these people, my people, to take the Outbound Flight and its vast amounts of knowledge, technology, all of this stuff, that would basically make this one family more powerful than the others, kind of destabilizing the balance of power in the Chiss Ascendancy. And Thrawn didn't want that, so he kind of distracted the families for the time being, and his brother went to the Outbound Flight. Yes, he has a brother, by the way. Went to the Outbound Flight, and he kind of found out that the center ship had 50 survivors on it that escaped the radiation. And he decided to guide these people to another planet in the unknown regions where the Chiss can't get them.
Ah, interesting.
And that was the last time Thrawn ever saw his brother.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. I think he died when he was helping out the colonists on this world that they crash landed on. But yeah, he never saw his brother after that.
Well, that's depressing.
Yeah. And then after that, he kind of parted ways with the Conmendai and the smuggler dude. And the smuggler dude kind of has his own adventures. He kind of has his run-in with Master Yoda and a couple of other things, which I will discuss in its whole other episode. But Conmendai is all like, dude, you are a really good commander, and I see that your government doesn't really like you that much. Maybe in the future, you would like to join the government that me and my master are planning to build? And Thrawn was like, I'll consider it.
It's just, hey, you want to join our group?
Yeah.
Maybe.
And as you can see, Thrawn isn't exactly down with the way his government is.
He's not down with the sickness.
He's not down with the sickness. But yeah. Yeah, Thrawn obviously feels very restricted as the way he is in the Chiss Ascendancy. Like, no, you can't do that, but I want to kill those pirates over there. They're killing innocent people and taking their families as their slaves. Sucks for them, I suppose.
He wants to get more involved.
Yeah. You could understand Thrawn's frustrations and why he would want to join the Empire.
Yeah.
Because, let's admit, autocracies are fucking evil sometimes.
Yes.
But one thing we can admit, they get shit done.
Fair.
Yeah. It's not like with most democracies where it's like, hey, I want to do this thing, and the entire Senate has to vote if they want you to do this, and they're like, eh.
Basically, nothing gets done.
Yeah. And as we've seen in the Clone Wars, the Galactic Senate, okay. So there's...
The Galactic Senate didn't agree on a lot of stuff.
No. No, it did not. There's this quote that I think represents the Galactic Senate in a nutshell. It takes years for the Senate to decide anything.
Yeah.
And that's obviously something that Thrawn isn't down with right off the bat. Like, yeah, autocracies are kind of evil, but all you have to do is just, hey, can I do this thing? Sure, go for it. And that's something that Thrawn is down with doing.
Down with the sickness.
Again. So eventually, Thrawn was exiled by his people after going against their will way too often.
I don't think he cared.
Yeah, he's like, goodbye, bitch. So he was exiled to this planet in the Outer Rim or something like that. Eventually, the Empire found out about him, but not knowingly finding him. They were basically chasing this unrelated smuggler that happened to go upon this world that he was marooned on. And there was this occupation force of stormtroopers, so it's an entire thing which I don't have time to explain. Basically, he infiltrated the camp of stormtroopers, disguised as one of them, and using nothing but a simple slingshot and some berries, he basically had the local wildlife trample all the stormtroopers underfoot with just throwing this berry underneath their armor.
That's smart. God damn.
Yeah. he basically...
I actually like this guy. He's
Yeah.
pretty funny.
He's pretty cool. He's pretty cool.
He's based. He's not gay. He's not a beta. Facts.
And it got so bad that the fleet overhead were basically like, all of our dudes are getting killed by this mysterious person. Let's blow this planet into oblivion. And the commanding officer are like, no, we can't do that because we need that smuggler alive. And I think they eventually found the smuggler and Thrawn only because he allowed himself to get captured. And the commanding officer was basically like, wow, you did some really impressive things with basically a slingshot and some berries. You want to join our military? You want to join our military? And he's like, fuck yeah.
Want to join the military? Fuck yeah.
Yeah, and for an alien to join the military of a homocentralist faction, it's pretty goddamn impressive that they would even consider recruiting him.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that's how good he is.
Yeah. Eventually, Thrawn quickly rose through the ranks to the point that he even became a teacher at a local Imperial Academy. He was basically the professor teaching all these young humans.
And how old is he at this time?
Around 30 or 40 years old.
So this is how you detonate a terrorist.
And yeah, I want to point out that obviously Thrawn isn't exactly a patriot of the Empire because he obviously loves learning the culture, the art, and history of alien races. He's only with the Empire because it allows him more freedom to secure protection for his people in the unknown regions and all that. That was a lot of sneezes, kid. You okay there?
Yes, I'm fine.
Okay. But he was under the belief that the galaxy was going to be under threat by these external enemies, like I mentioned before, of the far outsiders, and he believed that a galaxy united under a single iron fist would be best suited to fight off such a threat. Because if you're divided amongst, or share the power with multiple species and cultures, naturally those cultures are going to disagree with one another and cause chaos.
Fair.
Yeah. And he saw governments like the Republic as inefficient because while, yes, they are united in a way, they still bicker with each other.
But there are still way too many people to actually take care of and get done.
Yeah.
Like, get everything done with.
Yeah. In this case...
The Senate would probably debate about shit for years.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
nothing would get done.
Yep, exactly. In his case, he believed in a strong centralization of a government that was capable of listening to its people. But there should be one dominating voice instead of multiple voices, which could cause delays on decisions or being bogged down by bureaucracy and all that. That being said, as I mentioned before, he loves diversity, and he loves anything art-related.
The biggest Thrawn fan is now me.
How is that? Like, fuck! I don't even care that he's not at his villain stage yet. But
yeah,
god damn.
Yeah. So he loves art, and he believes that studying the art of a race is a way to study that race, because we always, not us anyway, but
what do you think of humans with our furry porn? And our fucking degenerate anime?
He's probably looking at that like, these guys are a bunch of degenerate motherfuckers. I could tempt them easily.
But that is how we as humans have learned about culture ourselves.
Yeah, like the Mona Lisa, we debate to this very day, why the fuck is she smiling, and what kind of implications is behind that smile and all that. It's a whole science, and that's something that Thrawn is a master at. Like, there's this, I'm going back in...
I wish I fucking had words to say about my feelings right now.
I'm going back into canon, but it exemplifies Thrawn as a character. So, in Rebels, basically he's well accustomed to the graffiti style of Sabine Wren, which is the Mandalorian of the crew and all that. She has this unique art style to it. Yeah. And like, so long story short, the main character, Ezra Bridger, infiltrates a Star Destroyer while being under the guise of a bounty hunter. Thrawn confiscated the helmet that was under Sabine Wren's trademark graffiti marks, and Thrawn was all like, that's no bounty hunter, that's Sabine Wren, because I remember the sharpness of her graffiti and all of that. And
how fucking smart do you have to be to
remember
actually
the
recall
sharpness
that?
of a fucking graffiti. What the fuck?
he could look at a blade of grass and be like, that wasn't there before.
What a guy.
Yeah.
The fucking details. Oh my god!
Yeah, he is literally evil, blue-skinned Sherlock Holmes. Nothing gets past this man's eyes.
I don't want to turn this into an NSFW episode, but
But yeah, Thrawn loves art. He even has his own private room full of just art pieces,
Yes,
armor,
gallery.
relics, and all that.
No, it's like, this is my favorite. No, he stands up, puts his hands behind his back, has a curtain. This is my favorite piece. And reveals it. It's like furry porn or something.
That's actually not that far off. So among his personal collection, he has his own personal set of Mandalorian armor that he actually uses on an undercover mission once.
holy fuck!
And it's also rumored, this is rumor by the way, that he also possesses the mask of General Grievous.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Holy fuck!
Yeah. And this is also another cool thing about Thrawn. Okay, cool. This is another cool thing about Thrawn. Like, as we know from the movies, a lot of Imperial commanders are very snobby, think that they're better than everybody else, and, just British assholes, basically.
British.
They're
British-
assholes.
I mean, they have a British accent, they're like, huh.
Like Tarkin. Like
Yeah.
Tarkin was an asshole.
Yeah, Thrawn is kind of unique among Imperial commanders, whereas most Imperial commanders are like, fire all cannons at this small ship, they won't be able to stand up to our might. Sir, is that a good idea? We're going into an asteroid. Don't you dare question my authority, ensign. Go to the brig with you. Instead, Thrawn is basically all like, open a fire on that ship over there. Sir, are you sure that's a good idea? Well, if you have other ideas, I'm willing to listen. He is legitimately caring, and as smart of a man as Thrawn is, even he is aware that he can't think of everything, and he listens to the input of his subordinates and all that.
How can you not be attracted to that?
And
Holy fucking shit!
and he legitimately cares about his own men. Like, you know how like Darth Vader would choke the fuck out of everybody if they fail him once?
Yeah.
Thrawn isn't all about that, because that's wasting troops. That's wasting your good commanding officers. Like, if they...
Thrawn would only choke in bed.
Christ. At one... There's one point where there was a smuggler who wanted to give him information, but a lot of shit got blown up in the process, and Thrawn outright got angry at him because he caused the death of 5 stormtroopers. He was all like...
But still, that's soldiers that we need.
Yeah, he was all like, just give me one good fucking reason why I shouldn't execute you right here and now. He was that angry. And even when he rose up through the ranks, he even backtalked Palpatine a couple of times. Like, Palpatine would be like, okay, go and kill these rebels over here with your smaller force. And Thrawn's like, are you fucking crazy? No way am I going to do that. I need a larger force to take that. And he would get away with it.
So even Palpatine respected him a bit.
Yeah.
Even though, Palpatine doesn't respect anybody.
When fucking Palpatine, the guy who would electrocute you...
He would electrocute you for a cookie.
He would electrocute you for the smallest things. He was all like, okay, Thrawn, okay.
He would be able to backtalk him and nothing would fucking happen to him.
Yeah. Thrawn is the kind of guy who emphasizes creativity amongst his crews. A good example that I could remember off the top of my head in my research. So Thrawn was going after Luke Skywalker, who's in his little X-Wing vessel. And he ordered his crew to use the tractor beam to catch his ass. But obviously Luke Skywalker got away, and he's all like, what the hell happened out there? Why did Luke Skywalker get away? And the guy who was operating the tractor beam was like, I tried this certain maneuver by locking into his metallic signature, blah, blah, blah. And Thrawn was all like, I mean, any other officer, I would have just executed you on the spot for failing, but the thing that you attempted to do was brilliant. It was nobody else, not even the best tractor beam enthusiasts could do that, but you were able to accomplish it, albeit for a little bit, but you did good out there, and I'm promoting you.
See, if you impress him, you get promoted.
Whereas on the other hand, so in a previous occasion, he tried to go after Luke Skywalker again, obviously escaped, and he goes to the operator of a tractor beam and is like, what the fuck happened out there? And he's like, it's not my fault, it's my trainer. He didn't teach me how to undergo this course. And Thrawn was all like, do you know the difference between an error and a mistake? An error, basically he's all like, an error becomes a mistake unless corrected, and you are obviously a mistake, and he had the guy executed on the spot. Because he was obviously saying, it's not my fault, it's his.
Yeah, pointing the finger.
Yeah. So, obviously, Thrawn is still ruthless, but compared to a lot of other Imperial commanders, he's actually quite awesome. He actually legitimately cares. He even gives his commanding officers second chances. Like, normally they would be processed for a court-martialing or something like that. But he's all like, okay, pick up your mistake and correct it immediately.
Give them second chances.
Yeah. He is that forgiving. And he values the... He's not like other commanders that just throw numbers at the problem until it's fixed. He's all like, okay, we need quantity over quality. Quality over quantity. That's his sort of idea. For the audience, Hannah is coming a little bit over there.
Why is the floor wet?
Oh god, it's a flood in here.
I can't help it! Jesus fucking Christ! Stop picking him up! Oh, Jesus!
Alright, but let me continue on instead of me sucking Thrawn. Anyway, so Thrawn eventually climbed the ranks from a mere captain to Grand Admiral. To give you a perspective of how important and how serious this is, Grand Admiral is a rank so prestigious, they outrank all other political and military personnel, except for the Emperor himself, obviously.
So, he was on the same level as Vader was.
Yep, basically. And
Get fucked!
And Grand Admiral is so important that only 12 people at a time can hold the title. No more and no less. Well, okay, Thrawn was the exception because he was the secret third person to have the title.
Oh, that's cool.
Because if it was public that an alien was a Grand Admiral...
Yeah, people wouldn't be that happy.
Yeah, people wouldn't be happy. But Palpatine was okay with that because he liked the guy.
Of course, it's Palpatine.
Yeah, and he was so...
And he doesn't like anybody.
Yeah. Thrawn is a fucking Chad. He's a literal Chad. I hope you're not being bored with Thrawn right now, kid.
No, it's fine.
Okay. But so Thrawn was so trusted by Palpatine that he allowed him to create basically an offshoot empire called the Empire of the Hand. Basically, it's an organization where Thrawn is leading Imperial forces to secure the unknown regions and combat all the threats that threaten both his people and the Empire.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, he was just in the middle of the unknown regions, just doing his own business. Then one day, he came back, and he's like, what do you mean the Emperor is dead? What do you mean Vader is dead? What the fuck happened to our Empire?
Oh, shit. So he goes out on this, He goes out for space milk and just like comes back and everything's on fire.
Yeah, it's that meme of a community where he's coming back with a pizza. What the fuck happened?
Exactly. What the fuck?
So yeah, if you were wondering where he was in the Battle of Endor, that's where he was.
That's fair.
So basically, he came back to an empire that was shattered into multiple factions with their own independent warlord just ruling their own separate part of the galaxy. And Thrawn was like, what the fuck, dudes? He's all like, I need to get this empire back in order. And so basically what he did is he got onto his own personal shuttle and he left his forces into the unknown regions, because if he brought all of his forces back, that leaves them vulnerable to God knows what.
Yeah, the New Republic would be like, what the fuck?
Yeah. So basically what happened, he gets into his personal shuttle, goes back into the known regions of space, sends out an encrypted signal to a nearby Star Destroyer. The Star Destroyer is the Chimera. You're probably familiar with it.
Yep.
He gets picked up by the Star Destroyer. He meets up with the captain of the ship, a man named Gilead Pelion. He's the guy who's right next to Thrawn in his pimp chair.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Kind of going off track, but Pelion is actually pretty cool. He was a former member of the Republic military, and there's this novel where he works alongside Captain Rex and Ahsoka Tano for a little while, and he actually legitimately sees the clones as people, not just disposable organic droids or whatever. He sees them as legitimate people.
Thrawn or Galleon?
Galleon.
Ah, cool.
Pelion, yeah.
Or Pelion.
Yeah. And at this point, he's like in his 50s, by the way. And after this point, he actually becomes the de facto leader of the Imperial Remnant. And he's so badass. Like, in his 80s, he almost got killed by an assassination attempt, and they had to put his ass into a Bacta tank. But he was still commanding his fleet from the Bacta tank. He is fucking awesome.
Who?
The Gilead Pelion, the mustache dude right next to Thrawn.
Wow.
Can I see?
Hang on. Finding it. God damn it. That dude.
The guy who looks like the KFC dude?
But yeah,
Does not look like Colonel Sanders.
Colonel
Looks like younger Colonel Sanders had sex with Hitler.
Colonel Sanders Pelion.
Colonel Sittler.
Sittler. So basically what Thrawn did, he was all like, okay, Pelion, the Chimera is now my flagship and you are my second in command. And Pelion was all like, yes sir, Admiral Thrawn, sir, whatever you say, sir.
Spoiler for the book.
Yeah.
God damn you.
So yeah, this is spoilers for the book from this point onwards, by the way.
Oh well, I'll still read it.
Yeah. So the Chimera is now Thrawn's personal flagship in the known region of space. By the way, one of the first things that Thrawn did is he went to Pelion's personal luxury entertainment suite and basically transformed it into a private command room, just in case the main bridge of his ship got destroyed.
That's funny. It's like, okay, yeah, this is yours, mine now.
It's like he goes to this guy's entertainment room where he has all of his collectibles of Pokemon or whatever. He's like, this is mine now. And so despite returning and he basically got proclaimed as the supreme commander of all Imperial forces in the Empire. Obviously, it's kind of more of a title than an actual rank because, all the Imperial forces are doing their own thing. So, obviously, he returned to a galaxy where the rebellion is now the Empire and the Empire the rebellion.
God damn.
And he is extremely low on resources, manpowers, and ships, with only like a handful of Star Destroyers. I think 32, which is a sizable amount, but compared to the Empire at its height, very minuscule.
Yeah.
And Thrawn, how is Thrawn going to transform this small force into a capable military force to threaten the Republic, you may ask?
How old was he at that point?
50s.
Imagine accomplishing that in your fucking 50s.
Yeah.
How long do the Chiss live?
Relatively the same time as humans.
Okay.
So, I think a little less, like in their 80s is one of their elders.
Oh.
Yeah. But anyway, so how does he accomplish this?
Charisma.
A Snickers.
So Thrawn kind of looks at his meager fleet, and he's like, okay, time to get to work. Because he always appreciated a challenge. This is only difficult, not impossible for him.
Like, okay.
So basically what he did was his entire fleet had a lot of inexperienced crew within his fleet. So he basically made training programs where he ensured that each rookie was accompanied by a more veteran officer.
I mean, he was a fucking professor.
Yeah.
He knows his shit!
And basically he runs them through several training drills, and he basically trained all of his crews, his troopers, to perfection to ensure that all of them are experienced in some way. There's no greenhorns on this ship.
Exactly, no fucking newbies here.
By the time Thrawn began his campaign against the New Republic, his crew were so well trained that they did difficult maneuvers like micro jumps, which is basically when you do hyperspace to a nearby world and allow the gravity of that planet to suck you out of hyperspace.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, they basically were so well trained that it was basically routine to them. Like, okay. It's like the equivalent of casually doing an aileron roll 100 times in a row.
That's cool.
Yeah. Let's see. While he was able to properly train his forces, he still has a meager number compared to the entirety of the New Republic. So he needs to find a way to bolster his troops and all that. To gain that edge, he needed to find one of Palpatine's secret storehouses, which contained two important items. The first...
Okay. Spice?
A hologram?
The first is schematics.
A Palpatine clone?
The first is schematics for an advanced cloaking device. This will come into play later. And the second...
What's Spice? It's obviously good.
No, that would be Death Sticks, kid. Or ketamine for Yoda. And anyway, and the second important item that he needs were at least 20,000 Sparty cloning chambers.
Holy fucking shit!
So the latter was obviously to bolster his forces with more troops, and unlike the Kaminoan cloning methods, the Sparty chambers would be able to make a fully grown clone within a couple of weeks rather than years.
Nice.
Yeah. This search took him an entire year, and after searching numerous worlds, he finally found the location of one of the storehouses, and it was on this planet called Wayland, and specifically in this mountain called Mount Tantus. And he basically, after finding out the location, he traveled there with Pelion right next to him, because Pelion is basically his prototype throughout his entire time, just learning under the tutelage.
Cool.
Yeah. I think both of them are around the same age, by the way.
You said he was 80 and Thrawn was 50.
No. When Pelion was in his 80s, he's 50 at this point in his time.
Okay.
But anyway, so he decided to go to Mount Tantus, and he was kind of under the suspicion that the storehouse probably had guardians, like maybe Force-sensitive clones that were protecting Palpatine storehouses. He was half correct. He went to Mount Tantus, and he found the guardian of the facility, and it was a clone of the Jedi Master he met back in his old days in the Chiss Ascendancy, Jarrus Suboff.
What the fuck?
I know. By the way, the clone's name, he has 2 U's in his first name instead of 1. But, obviously, the clone Jedi Master was clearly insane. And he's like, fuck you, Thrawn, I'm gonna kill your ass. And he decided to shoot Force Lightning at the Chiss. But the Chiss...
How did Palpatine get his body?
That is a very good question. He probably scavenged it from the wreckage or whatever.
Only Palpatine could.
Yeah. So Thrawn was prepared for this, and he brought with him a special creature. They're called the Yosel Miri. Yes, these are Force-sensitive creatures, kid.
Are you sending a picture?
Yeah. This is what they look like. They're basically reptile, monkey-looking things.
That's God again.
Yeah, the God. God! I don't know why. Just deleting that real quickly.
Yeah, shit.
Give it a second.
That's just God.
There we go.
That's literally just God again.
Oh.
That's the Yosel Miri.
Force-using lizards.
Yep.
Like, they look like horny toads.
They look like bananas.
Kinda. It looks like, picture a frog, a lizard, and a horny toad.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna grab that shit, just peel it.
So basically, what's so special about the Yosel Miri is that they're creatures that have evolved to create a force-repelling bubble around themselves. So basically, the force doesn't work in their presence. It just doesn't work.
He had that knowledge.
Yes. And this is, this is Thrawn. He's just holding one of these things like it's a little cat.
Like Dr. holding Mr. Bagels.
Yeah, I just sent you a picture. Just, nope.
Just, you think that's a good idea? Oh my god.
And obviously Sabalov was pretty shocked. It was like, what the hell is that? And Thrawn was all like, oh, I could tell you many secrets, old man. If you pledge your loyalty to me, then you could continue whatever the fuck you're doing. He was like, okay, fine. Because I think Thrawn basically told him that Luke Skywalker's a thing, and Jura Sabalov is like, ooh, I need to know more about that guy. But it's his own side story, so not really relevant. So basically, he now has the entirety of Mount Tantus at his disposal, and the 20,000 Sparty chambers at his disposal. So he recruited one of his best stormtrooper bodyguards, and he created a lot of clones of that guy. And he had to bypass one very important obstacle that Sabalov was the victim of. There's such a thing as clone madness, which is basically each clone that is created through these chambers just go insane.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, and Thrawn wanted to find a way to bypass that. And he found that through the Yosel Miri, because there's this theory that the Force kind of impacts the clone troopers in such a way that they go insane. But, the Yosel Miri have his Force projecting bubble. So he was able to bypass that problem with these little monkey lizard things, and he now has 20,000 non-insane clones under his disposal.
What a champ.
So over time, he would lead raids against the Republic, and even placed a bounty on the capture of Luke Skywalker himself. And he even gained more allies along the way, most predominantly the Yagori. I will send you a picture of these guys. They're basically, they're like 4 foot tall reptilian looking fuckers.
Sorry, texting.
But yeah, the Yagori are basically reptilian assassins that work for the Empire, because Darth Vader at some point in his life visited their homeworld, which was under economical collapse, and the Nagori basically killed his own personal contingent of stormtrooper bodyguards, and he was so impressed, he's all like, I could save your world if you work for me as assassins. And the Yagori were, well, obviously their savior saved their entire planet, so of course they're going to swore loyalty to Vader. And they became death commandos for high-ranking Imperial officers, including Thrawn.
Nice.
Yeah, so he got those guys as bodyguards. Let's see. And he also gained his own personal bodyguard with his Nagori named Rook. He's always by Thrawn's side at all times. You may not see him, but in reality, he's just hiding in the shadows, just being his little bodyguard.
Oh, interesting.
And let's see, he even added another lost fleet to his own called the Katana Fleet. So he's amassing all of these large resources along the way. And this has taken him like an entire year to do.
But still.
Yeah.
Someone at that age, at that low resource, getting all of that fucking power under the nose of the New Republic.
I just imagine this is like a field trip for Thrawn. He's all like, I'm just going to do my own business in the unknown regions. Okay, time to go back to the Empire. Well, time to put things back in order.
Yep.
Just another day in the office for me. Through his efforts, his campaign against the New Republic was going swimmingly, despite multiple setbacks here and there.
It isn't that all while Leia's trying to establish the New Republic?
Yeah.
And she's pregnant?
Yep, she's pregnant with 2 children, I believe.
Imagine going through that while you're pregnant and trying to start up a new government.
Yeah, and through all these campaigns, his forces are starting to creep closer and closer to the core worlds. And Thrawn set his eyes on the capital of the galaxy itself, Coruscant.
Of course he did.
Yeah, and he launched his assault against the capital. He basically led a force, a very meager force of like 6 Star Destroyers and a couple of other vessels. And the New Republic's home guard was basically prepared for this siege. They assumed to be a siege, but they outnumber Thrawn's fleet like 1,000,000 to 1, basically. But a siege wasn't what Thrawn was doing. He had something else in mind. When he was close to Coruscant, he ordered his Star Destroyers to unleash asteroids, which were equipped with a cloaking device I mentioned earlier.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So he launched all of those asteroids and got the fuck out of Dodge.
Just, okay, do that. Bye!
Now, let me ask you, why would Thrawn unleash a couple of meager little asteroids against the capital of the Republic?
Well, how many was it? Or was it just a few, or was it a lot?
For all intents and purposes, a lot.
We can fuck up the electronics. It's a whole... The planet is a city.
Mm-hmm.
Take out power plants, you fuck over the entire planet.
How about you, Kit?
I have no clue.
Okay, so this is a very big brain move by Thrawn. So they're all equipped with a cloaking device, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. So basically, he unleashed these asteroids, and the Republic noticed this. They're like, "Fuck, we need to activate the planetary shield," so they activate it. However, they have one very serious dilemma. Since these asteroids are cloaked, they don't know where the fuck they are, and they need to keep that shield generator on at all times so the asteroids don't plummet down and destroy the entire city down below.
That takes a lot of power.
Yep. And so basically, they're basically forced to hold on the door against this invisible threat. So that also means nobody can leave or enter Coruscant while his shield is up. So basically, in one simple move, Thrawn put Coruscant out of the war.
Just like, get fucked, isolate yourself.
Yeah. The only way for the Republic to prevent the asteroids from falling onto the city was through planetary shields, and they kind of came up with this method to look for the space dust that the asteroids emanated, but they realized that would take way too much time. By the way, the Republic didn't realize this until later, but in reality, Thrawn released 26 asteroids. But he faked the launch of 100 more.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and the Republic, in a desperate attempt, tried to blind fire, and they actually did get all of the asteroids, but they don't fucking know if there are more asteroids out there.
They think there are 100. They didn't know there was 26.
Yeah, exactly. So, very big brain move. The only fast way that they could, bypass the cloaking field problem is if they get a special device. Let's see. A special device, where the fuck are you? A special device called the Crystal Graph Field Trap, which is basically a cloak detector or whatever. Problem is, the only place you could find that at is at this space station in the Belbringi system, which is under the control of Thrawn.
That sucks.
So yeah, the Republic is basically trapped until they could alleviate this cloaking problem. So yeah, very big brain move by Thrawn. He basically put the entirety of the New Republic leadership out of the war.
That's smart.
Yeah. And let me see. And after this, the Republic were getting kind of desperate. They have a very small fleet because the rest of them were on Coruscant. And they realized, okay, we need to go to the Belbringi system and get that device so that we could free Coruscant and make sure that innocent people don't get fucked. However, this was ultimately a trap by Thrawn, as he was predicting it would be.
Of course he did.
Yep.
Predictable.
So the rest of the Republic fleet set a course to the Belbringi system, and the moment they exited out of hyperspace, they came out way too early. They see the space station, and they see a couple of unique-looking Star Destroyers. These are called interdictor Star Destroyers. They have these little spheres all over their hull.
Okay.
Basically, their purpose is they project an interdictor field, which is basically layman's terms of you can't escape into hyperspace, bitch.
Get fucked, you're trapped
Yeah,
here.
you're trapped here with us. And this fleet was, by the way, the fleet was commanded by Admiral Akbar, and he's
Snack bar.
he's all like, "It's a trap!"
Of course he did.
And at that moment, the entirety of Thrawn's fleet came out of hyperspace, and the Battle of Belbringi began.
What's up, bitch?
Yeah. While both forces gave it their all, it was very clear that Thrawn was winning. Because he has his entire fleet of 32 Star Destroyers and 100 other supporting ships and all that. Not to mention the thousands of TIE fighters that he has. And the Republic, I believe they have like...
They probably don't have a lot.
They have like 14 ships against 23 Star Destroyers.
That sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, they're getting fucked pretty hard. And Thrawn was so convinced that he was going to win that Pelion basically gave him the idea of, hey, maybe we should allow some of the ships to retreat back and tell the Republic of the story of their defeat and all that. And Thrawn was all like, that's actually a pretty good idea, but I want to make sure Admiral Akbar retreats back. Because if he goes back, he's basically humiliated in the eyes of the Republic, and he'll probably get demoted along the way.
Smart.
Yeah.
Very smart.
Demoralize your forces even further.
Demoralize the enemy. Take them while they're down.
Unexpectedly, though, the Republic found an ally within this organization called the Smugglers Alliance, which is as kind of self-explanatory. And they decided to join the fight against the Empire, and this caught the Empire woefully off guard, to the point where Thrawn was forced to divide his forces, one to engage the fleet, and the other to protect the space station and all that, to make sure that they don't board it and all that. Pelion was basically sweating at this point, but Thrawn was calm. He knew that the fight was far from over, and probably given enough time, he could probably curb stomp both forces.
Probably.
Now, before I get back into the story, in universe, a lot of scholars and historians within the Star Wars universe kind of debated if Thrawn would have won the Battle of Belbringi or if the Republic would have won. Funny enough, Akbar swore to his dying day that he could have beaten Thrawn. But
they were outnumbered.
Yeah. But Pelion also recounted later that Thrawn was actually summoning reinforcements from nearby Imperial worlds to annihilate the Republic fleet anyway.
Awesome.
So historians kind of debated, at best, the battle would have ended in a draw. Or at worst, Thrawn would have curb stomped the entirety of the Republic fleet, and the entire galaxy would be under the thumb of Grand Admiral Thrawn. So, how does Thrawn fuck up?
Of course he fucks up. Because, even though he's a good military strategist, they can learn their strategy too.
He's an asshole.
That's the thing. He didn't fuck up. It was actually something that he had no way of knowing. Allow me to flashback. So you remember the Nagori, the tiny reptile people?
Mm-hmm.
So, Princess Leia decided to go to their homeworld to negotiate peace or whatever, because they're being a huge pain in the ass and assassinating a lot of her people. And the Nagori keep in mind, the Nagori are loyal to Darth Vader, but he's gone. And they basically smelled on Princess Leia the blood of Darth Vader, and they swore their loyalty to her.
Oh, shit.
Because they acknowledge her as Lady Vader.
She probably didn't like that.
Yeah, obviously not, but she's not going to say no to a bunch of reptile assassins.
Yeah.
And along the lines, Leia was trying to convince them we need to attack the Empire, blah, 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 but the Nagori were like, I mean, we're loyal to you, but we're also loyal to Thrawn. And along the lines, Princess Leia kind of found out that the Empire was basically keeping their homeworld under their thumb by, they gave them like a planet restoring technology, but in reality, the technology was slowly killing their world to ensure their compliance.
Oh, that sucks.
And then the Nagori found out about this, and they're like, those motherfuckers. And that's when they swore their full allegiance to Leia. And remember Thrawn's bodyguard Rook?
Yeah.
Eventually, during the battle, they got reports that the Nagori basically betrayed the Empire, and Rook was like, I'm going to avenge my people. And he goes up to Thrawn, knocks him in the throat, and then with a singular swift motion, impales him through the chest.
Jesus. So Thrawn dies in Legends.
Yes.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Once again, Thrawn couldn't stop it because he had no way of knowing such a thing.
Didn't know he was into pegging.
God damn.
So the only reason Thrawn lost was due to things outside of his control.
He died to getting pegged. Gay.
Even in his last words, eventually the stormtroopers found out about Rook and killed his ass. But in his dying moments, Thrawn was all like, but it was so artistically done. And then he died.
Appreciating art until his last breath.
Yep. He was all like, my hoe. Good job.
Good job.
And with Thrawn dead, the command of a fleet was placed on Captain Pelion himself. And even though Pelion is not a dumb man, but he is no Thrawn.
Did he surrender?
No. And there's a pretty good chance that he could have won against the Republic, but not without insane losses on his side. So he did the only logical thing he could do and got the fuck out of Dodge.
Of course he did.
And
the old JoJo family technique.
Run away! So yeah, within like a year, Thrawn had the entirety of the Republic on its knees, and the only reason he lost was due to things outside of his control. He is fucking badass.
Who would not be attracted to that?
I ain't gay.
Okay, if Thrawn was female.
Now we're talking.
Now we're
That's some
talking.
MILF titties right there.
Now, after this, while Thrawn did indeed perish, he did leave his mark on galactic history.
No
very
fucking shit,
obviously,
he did.
Yeah. To the point where there were several copycats that impersonated Thrawn to sow fear in the Republic. And even that was enough to make the Republic collectively shit themselves. Like, oh shit, Thrawn's still alive? Holy shit!
Yeah, because no one knew he died.
Also, I must point out, he did have a contingency plan in case
Of
he
course he
did
did.
die.
He's Batman too.
Yeah. So, Thrawn anticipated his death, and he authorized the creation of a clone of himself, which remained undiscovered for 10 years as it slowly grew. And eventually it was found out by Luke Skywalker and Mara Jade, because they heard rumors about Thrawn's return. And they were all like, okay, we need to kill this clone before it emerges out of its gestation chamber. And they were kind of also debating, like, well, I mean, yes, it's a clone of Thrawn, but it's not the Thrawn.
It's not the Thrawn.
Yeah, what if it's a completely different personality and individual? Like, as we've seen with the clones, each one of them are not Jango fed. They have their own individual personalities. So they're kind of debating, I mean, should we kill it? It probably wouldn't serve as a threat against us. But they were ultimately forced to destroy the chamber with the clone Thrawn in it.
No.
Yeah. So that was truly when Thrawn died.
That was an interesting end for him.
Yeah.
At least in Legends.
But a couple of other things that I want to talk about. So let's see. Many years down the line, Thrawn is such a tactical genius that many years down the line... Oh yeah, by the way, before I go into Thrawn, so the Nagori warriors, they're so fun. There's this one moment that always makes me smile. When the Nagori swore their allegiance to Princess Leia, Han Solo was present at the ceremony, and they were like, we acknowledge the consort of Lady Vader. And Han was like, consort? It always makes me giggle that Han Solo was called a consort.
I mean, technically he is, because Leia's a princess.
Yeah. That always makes me giggle. Anyway, back to Thrawn. Many years down the line, the Galactic Alliance, which is the successor state of the Republic, basically they created an AI version of Thrawn, basically as a training simulation against future cadets and all that.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah, and none of the cadets ever won, except for one, who is basically a boffin, the spy dudes.
Ah, okay.
So, yeah, even in death, he's curb stomping people. So, that is the story of one of the most popular EU villains, Grand Admiral Thrawn. What do you guys think about him?
Y'all know what I think about him.
Pretty obvious. How about you, Kit?
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool. By the way, I think I wish I discussed this earlier, but
6 out of 10 could have had more MILF titties.
If
Tinder swap him.
Tinder swap him.
You can just type in Thrawn, Fem Thrawn.
Fem Thrawn.
Tinder swap Thrawn.
If Thrawn ever met Obi-Wan, I think they would get along quite well. Because Thrawn is the kind of guy who would invite his enemy to his house and discuss philosophy over a nice cup of tea.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think you would get along with Thrawn quite well, Kit.
Me?
Yeah, because you always love talking philosophy.
I love talking philosophy, but he's a strategist. He doesn't know anything about philosophy.
Actually, he does.
Sure. Okay. Too old. Actually, I kind of like her. Now we're talking!
So the picture I showed him was female Hux, female Krennic, female Tarkin, and female Thrawn.
Of course.
They're all gorgeous.
Yeah. Oh, man. But yeah, Thrawn isn't exactly one of my personal favorite villains, but much like Maul and Grievous, I appreciate him for the type of character that he is. And he also pays new ground for, instead of unlimited power kind of villains, he's more of a big brain kind of villain.
Do you have a leak in the house?
Yeah. But anyway, so that's our episode of Can Mayonnaise Kill a Jedi? Or in this case, how hard can Hannah come to Thrawn?
Oh, shit.
Alright. You guys want to know what the next episode is going to be about?
It's definitely not going to be canon Thrawn.
How about you, Kit?
I don't know. MILFs. Please make it be MILFs.
Well, not quite MILFs, but not quite there either. Anyway.
Hut bitches?
Hut bitch.
Hut bitches.
We already did an episode about the Huts.
We didn't do an episode about the Hut bitches.
But the only Hut bitch that we saw, you repelled to discuss against.
Yes. But I mean, like, anime hut bitches.
Oh, God. You know, that's another Patreon idea we should probably try out.
Anime MILF hut bitches.
Yeah.
God damn.
Anyway, so it's my turn.
Hut bitches near you. It's like an ad on fucking Star Wars Pornhub or something.
Jesus.
So,
Here's the NSFW part.
Yeah. It's been Hannah's round of episodes. Now it is my turn. And for my first return, we will be talking about the good boys of the galaxy, the Verpine.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
The bugs.
The good boy insect people. They're such good boys. And my race.
Isaac
So
Persona's race.
I am
Nice.
not being biased at all.
I mean, we already talked about my
This is
persona's
super
race.
biased.
But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode on Grand Admiral Thrawn, one of the most popular EU villains in all of Star Wars. So popular he got reintroduced into canon, but whatever. But I hope you guys are having a wonderful day, and you guys have any closing statements?
Give him a bop.
Well, anyway, until next time, bye-bye!